In today's video, I'm going to be comparing Omnisend to Mailchimp, and I'm going to break down exactly what platform I recommend you use, why I recommend you use it, and the three main differences that make me choose one platform over the other platform. My name's Gavin. I run an email and SMS marketing agency, and this is literally all I do. Email and SMS marketing for e-commerce and B2B businesses. So if you have any questions, check them down in the comment section down below. Check out the newsletter. Without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. So here's my comparison between Mailchimp and Omnisend, and I'm going to start off by saying I hate Mailchimp with a passion. So hopefully that sets the tone for my comparisons here. Basically, Mailchimp here is a just terrible piece of content, or rather just software. First things first is you have to pay for it regardless. Recently, they upgraded their plans where the lowest plan you can be on is based off of a $1 trial, and then after that, you have to start paying. So even to create this dummy account, which I created, had to pay $1, and then following next month on the 8th of August, it's not even like a month actually, it's like 2 weeks I get a free trial for, I'll have to be paying $21 a month. Now, if you're a bigger company, you don't really care about this stuff, but if you're just trying to learn a platform or actually get familiar with this stuff, you want something that's going to give you the accessibility to run it for free, at least initially, right? Now, when I go into Omnisend, let me quickly show you here. I've got a few tabs up because I'm going to show you some of the things that I also don't like. If we go into the store settings here, they're going to give you a free plan for up to those 500 emails. So you're not going to pay for anything to get that free account, which Mailchimp is going to charge you for. And when you're first figuring out like what software you want to use, what plan you want to use, you want to play around with this stuff. And the last thing you want to do is start paying for something, even if it's a $1 free trial. And also, you want to be able to actually learn how these tools work a little bit more and actually get into the weeds of this stuff. And having up to those 500 emails is really going to help you build that familiarity. So Omnisend, first of all, the pricing is one thing that really, really irks me with Mailchimp, and that Omnisend seems to kind of dovetail nicely into actually giving you a free option there. Also, the UX. So I'm actually going to speak specifically to the sign-up forms. For those of you who don't know, I've got specific sign-up form strategies. Check out the rest of the channel. There's a bunch of that stuff on there. But sign-up forms are one of the biggest needle movers you can have when it comes to your overall email marketing strategy. If we look at Omnisend's, it's incredibly straightforward, right? It's a very easy to use, simple UX, right? We have step 1, step 2, success, right? Subscribed. If they're already subscribed, it takes them to this page. Super, super, super straightforward. You have custom targeting. You can show to specific segments of people. You can show to people basically based off of what page they're coming on really, really easily, right? You can even go target by specific segment, which is very useful, and you should be experimenting with showing different sign-up forms to different people in their customer journey. Highly recommend you do that. But this makes sense. It's intuitive, right? I can simply delete this, switch the steps. Makes so much sense. There's a really cool thing that you can do with just all of these inputs here as well. You even have the countdown timer, all that functionality. Now, let me show you what happens when I go into the template editor for Mailchimp. I'm an email marketer, and I don't really know like what any of this stuff means. It's like this is the template builder that I have to use. I don't know how to use any of this stuff, right? And what it does is it overcomplicates it, makes it hard for you to use, and just makes like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Step 1, okay, I get that. But then you have step 1 follow-up, which I don't understand. Then you have step 2, which is the email capture, okay. Step 3, I just don't know what's going on here. And it's very, very, very frustrating. Look at the email capture step. This is the UX I have to actually edit things. I don't know what we're doing here. And this is once again coming from someone who I've spent 5 years building this stuff, and I shouldn't have to be required to learn this level of complexity for a tool that should be relatively simple, right? So the sign-up form builder is a total pain. You can't actually add tags to people based off of their responses here as well, which is very frustrating. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what we're looking at, to be honest. This doesn't make any. I can't even begin to dive into like the lack of functionality. Look at this, nice one. So even then, while I'm editing it, there's an error. And I keep in mind, they said we couldn't load your fonts. This is a dummy account with their fonts in it. So there's already issues kind of happening here. I don't know what's going on. So the sign-up form tool just blows, okay? And keep in mind, sign-up form is one of the most important parts of your overall email marketing strategy. Then we have the billing, of course. The third thing that really frustrates me, and there's a bunch of things that frustrate me, but it's the sequences and the flows. So what Mailchimp calls as automations, or they used to call them as journeys, they've since rebranded them, and I think I actually had something to do with that because I had a very viral post go live where I called them out on this. It seems like things have been fed back up the chain. But here's the thing. So we have the trigger, right? This is an automation that you're looking at. Contact signs up to inbox. We can filter who enters, and then we can create conditional splits, which are very important in our automation sequence. If person does this, send them out. One thing that's really important, though, is that conditional splits are based off of what the reader has done historically, so anything related to their account, whereas trigger splits, which is a different type of split, reference only the data at the top. For example, if we have an abandoned cart, and I want to send people down different sequences in the abandoned cart flow, based off of what they added to their cart. For example, if they added item X or item Y to their cart, we'd send them down different splits. I would need to use what is called a trigger split, not a conditional split, because the conditional split references the historical actions that the person did. Trigger splits reference the trigger. Mailchimp doesn't give me that. I cannot create a trigger split here, right? There's no way for me to create a trigger split based off of what comes in at the top, at least at the time of recording this. Omnisend, on the other hand, does have that. So this is what we're looking at from a flow outline within Omnisend. Now, I'm not going to say this is like the best UX ever, right? But we can have splits. And take a look at this. If we click split, we can do trigger filters or contact properties or message engagement. So we're able to A, reference the trigger, which is in this case started checkout, or the contacts properties, which could be where you located, how many times have you ordered, that kind of stuff, which is important. Mailchimp has the contact properties, but not this trigger property, and also the message engagement. So much more dynamic and allows you to build out the automations that you need to actually have a successful email marketing strategy. And when it comes to email marketing, you want to send people down different journeys, especially in the post-purchase thank you flow. For example, somebody places an order for X, you want to send people down different sequences to cross-sell and upsell different products based off of that purchase. Very, very important that we do that. And within Mailchimp, just doesn't really give us that stuff. The reality is, Mailchimp was the first mover, and they had the first mover's advantage when it came to email marketing and email marketing platforms. They were the first ones. When I first started doing email marketing or first heard about it back in 2013, Mailchimp was the go-to. And then what happened is they kind of stayed in this avenue where if you're like a blogger or if you're like a influencer or something like that, Mailchimp was the go-to because you didn't need these dynamic flows, especially the automations that e-commerce businesses need. And e-commerce businesses need dynamic flows, for one, good sign-up forms, as number two, and segmentation strategies that allow them to talk to people differently based off of their interactions with their business. Mailchimp was not built for that. Mailchimp was built for that blogger, where at the very most you'd be segmenting your audience by like 90-day engagement or something like that. What happened is other suppliers like Omnisend or Klaviyo or Brevo came into the mix and have built their platform with e-commerce first. That's who they're coming at first. So their platforms are built with that opinion in mind, whereas what's happening with Mailchimp is they're having to redirect their business, and I think they're doing a terrible job of it, to then be focused on moving away from, but the reality is there's not a whole lot of money in like bloggers. The money for email marketing is more often than not in these e-commerce businesses, and they're trying to reposition themselves, but they're doing a terrible job of it. And the reality is Omnisends, your Klaviyos, they have such a big advantage over platforms like Mailchimp at this point, where Mailchimp's trying to right the ship, it feels like, whereas Omnisend is already going in the right direction, and they're only going to keep improving, while Klaviyo has to just continuously give these efforts to get it at least back on the same track. So if you're contemplating an email marketing platform, I highly, highly recommend you use Omnisend over Mailchimp. It's cheaper, it's better, and it's going to actually grow with you as your business grows. More often than not, when I come across an e-commerce business, they start off with Mailchimp and inevitably they have to move out because they grow too big. You're not going to have that problem with Omnisend. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Check out my newsletter in the description down below. I make videos like this all the time. Any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.